to the ChainArgos platform, you will be presented with a screen a lot like this. And the first thing you're going to need is a question to ask the data. I mean, if you want to click on various things, charts and stuff people have already made, feel free to explore that. But if you wanted to ask something that wasn't answered by an existing dashboard, you would need a question. So why don't we start with a very simple question of how many times do people trade MakerDAO's token per day? So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go hit explore because MakerDAO is on the Ethereum chain. Oops, we're going to hit Ethereum. All right, so the core of what you're doing here is you're picking stuff from over here. You're making it either a filter or a measure or a dimension. Don't worry about those words if they sound intimidating. It's actually quite simple. So our question is how much MakerDAO token trades hands per day, or how many times it trades hands per day. So why don't we, well, first we're going to do is we're going to filter on the symbol. MakerDAO's token is MKR. And then we want to see our data per day. And so we go up to the block times. We're going to pick the date. We're going to go sort the date like that. And then most of the action is down here in the transactions section. These things that are in black are dimensions. They're things that you cannot sum or subtract, or they're not numbers usually. The things down here are measures, so things you are measuring. So let's say we are looking for the number of transfers. And why not, just to be so we can chart two things, we'll also choose the sum of transfer amounts, which is like the sum of the actual number of tokens. So then we click run. And you may have to, depending on how complicated your query is, you may have to wait a little bit. That's just the nature of the beast. There is a lot of data on the blockchain. So, hopefully it doesn't take too long. Oh, and there we go. We have 2 columns telling us how much was transferred on each day. So if I wanted to chart it, if you see, it has given me a chart by default. It gave me a line chart. I could also pick a table. I could pick columns. I could pick whatever. Each of these is subtly different in terms of other options you can do. I'm not going to get into that here, but let's say we want to, we like regular boring old line charts. One thing that's interesting you'll see though, however, what's going on here is that it's charted both the number of tokens and the number of transfers, like the number of trades, on the same scale. So the number of trades is, usually people aren't just trading one token. They could be trading billions of tokens. So that line is way down here. So what we would like to do is move that to the other side. We have to have 2 different y-axes. So we go to edit. This is where you change the display options. We're going to the Y section because we're talking about the Y-axis. And you see there's 2 measurements here. So we can pull one of them over to the other side. So let's say we drag this to a right axis. And boom, now we have 2 different charts. One of them has its scale over here. The other one has a scale over here. We could also individually change the type for each one of these. So let's say we want to do that one as an area chart or column chart. We change the color and so on and so on. So all of that is pretty cool. One other thing I will demonstrate here is these are all clickable. So let's say we click on this number of transfers. Here it's going to go ahead and pull us a list of the actual transactions that went into that measure. So boom, you see the transaction hash, token address. You can click here to see a transaction or an address on Arcrum or Etherscan, etc., etc. I'm not going to get too bogged down here. So just one final thing I will show you to do. Let's say you wanted to analyze more than one token at the same time. You could, you could choose to filter on all stable coins. You could, look for whatever. But for now, let's just pick a very simple option, and we will add another symbol. Why don't we add Frax, which is a weird algorithmic stable coin. Now, so we're filtering on 2. If we push run, we somehow, if we push run right now, it's going to add these 2 tokens together, which doesn't make any sense because MKR is not worth $1 and Frax at least pretends to be worth $1. There's totally different metrics. So we either need to add the symbol as a row, which would work, right? We would get 2 rows for each date. Or there's a better option, which is that we can click this pivot icon. Now it's going to create them as columns. So I'm going to click run. And again, the more complicated a query is and the more data it needs to scan, the longer it is going to take. That's just the nature of the beast. There's many billions of rows of data involved here. Okay, and boom. We now have these columns for Frax and these columns for Maker. So let's see what it did to our visualization. As you can see, we now have one line for Frax, one line for Maker. And we can also go down here. We can hide and show various metrics just by clicking on them. And there's a whole lot more you can do, but I'm going to leave it at that. And hopefully that's enough to get you up and running with the ChainArgos data analytics platform.